Welcome to New Strength. I'm Christina Cook-Lee. New Strength is a daily devotional offering hope and encouragement to people who are trying to get and stay free from depression and or dependency. If you're viewing directly on YouTube, you can read along with me. By clicking on the description area below the screen, you'll see that all the words are there for you. And if you're on my New Strength blog, of course the words are there for you as well. Thanks for joining me. Our topic is learning from our mistakes. The focus, embracing the consequences of failure. The scripture, John chapter 10, verse 27 from the King James Version of the Bible. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. I added up how many times I was in church before I left home at the age of 17. At a conservative estimate, I know that it was more than 5,000 times. There wasn't a particular day when I said in my mind, I'm going to backslide, but it happened. Over a 9-year period, I continued to take a step here and a step there off the track until I was far from following in the Master's footsteps. So many times he tried to get my attention and draw me back. One of the heavy consequences of choosing to go my own way occurred when I was 21. I had been separated from my first husband for 8 months. My morals were sketchy at best. My career in fashion jewelry was going well. 3 months earlier, I had bought a Dodge Charger Special Edition, my first new car. The high-performance 400 cubic inch engine was built for speed and gave me a feeling of power. I was almost over the walking pneumonia I'd had for a few weeks and was eager to go on a company payoff trip a couple hundred miles away for a few days. Naturally, I was glad to get out on the road with my new wheels. When the meeting was over, I checked out of the hotel and headed home. I was cruising along the interstate, doing the speed limit, which was 70 miles per hour. There was a fair amount of traffic, and I was irritated that I wasn't able to drive any faster. I was making the best of the situation with my car stereo on full blast. One of my favorite songs, Born to be Wild, was playing on the radio. All of a sudden, cars were going in all directions. When the car in front of mine suddenly shot out of the lane and disappeared, I was left with no warning at all. Instantly, I was facing the taillights of a brand new royal blue Mustang. I started to say, "What's going on?" but I never got to the word on. I left skid marks for only 20 feet. It was estimated that I was going 65 miles per hour when I slammed into the Mustang and the car in front of them. Both had stopped illegally in the passing lane. 4 passengers bailed out of the 3-week-old Mustang just before it exploded, sending flames high in the sky. The car was totally burned. I was wearing a seatbelt, but shoulder straps weren't required at that time, so mine was neatly stowed in its clips over the door on the driver's side. I never lost consciousness, and I didn't feel the impact of my head hitting the steering wheel, but in an instant, blood was gushing out of my nose and mouth. It wasn't until I was out of the car, struggling to stand, that I instinctively put my hands up to my face. In my horror, I began sobbing and shouting, "My nose is broken, it's gone," and it was. The place where it had been was completely flat. A nurse who stopped at the scene helped me over to the median, where I laid for close to an hour before an ambulance came. I remember hearing her say that she never stopped at the scene of accidents, but she knew she couldn't just keep driving when she saw this one. I wondered if I was dying as people stood over me with their hands over their mouths and said, "Oh my God." After plastic surgery the next day, the top of my head and face was bandaged. The part of my face still showing was dark purple and grossly swollen. 10 days later, the bandages were removed and I saw my replacement nose. It was a shocking experience for me. People tried to tell me it looked fine, but it wasn't me. My face wouldn't ever look the same again. I didn't know who I was anymore. I had never been confident about my looks, and this experience threw me into an extreme identity crisis. It was easy to get tranquilizers and sleep meds. I took all I could get. I smoked and drank more than before. I was always searching for pictures of how I used to look and obsessed with trying to make this face look like that one. What should have been enough to get me back to God just drove me further away. It took 5 more years and many more hard lessons before I stopped running. There is a story told of a shepherd who has a flock of sheep. There is a frisky little lamb who likes to run and play on the outer edge of the flock. She thinks it is fun to venture off away from the rest, even though the shepherd has coaxed her back repeatedly. Because she continues to run away, the shepherd is forced to take steps to help her learn. As a last resort, the shepherd kindly and lovingly breaks one of her legs. Unable to walk until the leg has mended, the shepherd must carry her in his arms, where she is reassured by the constant beating of his heart. When she is able to stand again, she will never leave the shepherd's side. Declaration: I will find new strength by not even taking one step off the right path. I will learn from the failures of my past and embrace what it took to bring me where I am. Thanks for taking the time to listen. I would really appreciate it if you would like this segment, and if you wouldn't mind, please share it with someone else who might also benefit from it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the New Strength Devotional channel on YouTube and on WordPress, and then a link will come to you every day in your email with a segment like this. And if you're already a subscriber, I'll look forward to meeting with you again tomorrow. My prayer is that you will find new strength day by day and endless blessings. I'm Christina Cook-Lee.